Hello again to another Agricola React, and today we will be watching how MSC Cruises turn a dredging site into a private island paradise from VSJ Booked, meaning the Wall Street Journal. And let's just jump into it and see, and where is that private island now, and kinda how they did it.
This dredging site was turned into a private island paradise. MSC Cruises has spent about $500 million to turn an industrial wasteland into an exclusive destination for its passengers, all in about 4 years. Nearly 13 million tourists went on Caribbean cruises in 2023, but there are only so many ports they can visit. Established ports like Nassau have seen an influx of visitors in the past few years, and because people don't want to deal with crowds like this, new destinations like Ocean Key in the Bahamas have become increasingly important. But creating a private island for up to 5,000 guests per day poses some big challenges. Here's how MSC has turned an environmental wreck into a destination. Most private islands run by cruise lines are in the Caribbean. It's the world's most popular region for cruises, and cruise lines see
I didn't even realize there's private islands in Caribbean. Like, I kinda knew that maybe like some small ones and things like that, but I didn't think that there would be that many of them, that they would be owned by the cruise lines in general.
Significant room for expansion, since there are thousands of undeveloped islands that could potentially be turned into new travel destinations.
They look kinda small though, isn't it?
Bahamas has a particular appeal because of people here and the beautiful oceans that surround us.
That's not beautiful, that's true.
Cruise lines have been developing islands in the region since the 1980s, when Norwegian Cruise Lines purchased Great Stirrup Key in the Bahamas. Now, several companies have their own private islands throughout the Caribbean. The companies say it's a win for cruise lines to draw guests, a win for passengers who don't want to deal with tens of thousands of other tourists going to the same beaches and restaurants, and a win for countries like the Bahamas that are paid to lease the land and collect additional port fees. Some critics argue that,
out of curiosity, I wonder how long those lease contracts are. Those new glasses are very big, and they're kinda going boom on my nose, so...
developing more ports risks over-tourism. But industry officials say these new destinations reduce the pressure on existing ports, and that cruise ships are scapegoated for the issues of the larger tourism industry. Most of these islands, though, were uninhabited for a reason. When MSC Cruises signed a 100-year lease on Ocean Key in 2015, it was covered.
But what's supposed to happen after that 100 years? They're gonna discard, or someone else gonna... I wonder, obviously, to 2015, I'm not going to leave till they actually see it, but it's kinda interesting what's gonna happen after that. Because it's a private lease, it's not like a takeover of from Britain to China of the Hong Kong, isn't it? That was totally different thing, so...
in industrial waste.
It was, to be honest with you, quite a mess.
Ocean Key is a man-made island created in the 1960s.
Oh, okay.
It was dredged from the sea by the Dillingham Corporation to mine sand, not impress tourists. Sports Illustrated once called it the least lovely of the Bahamas' many islands. In the early 2000s, energy company AES tried to turn it into a natural gas plant, but the plan didn't materialize, and the island was abandoned.
Was there any
Until
gas around
more than a
there?
decade later, when MSC saw an opportunity.
The island was chosen primarily for its proximity to the US. We're only 65 miles away from the US, Florida, Miami, and Cape Canaveral. And that means that we can have overnight ships, double ship day calls.
Ships typically stop at Ocean Key as the first or last stop because it's so close to Florida. But ships can also stop there if they're being rerouted due to weather. But before it could open for guests, MSC had to completely transform the 103-acre island, taking the island from this to this.
The island was completely designed with the guest experience in mind.
Well, if it's man-made, that shouldn't be a problem, isn't it?
And wind to determine where it should place the beaches and marina. The lighthouse was placed on the west, so it could be part of the view at sunset. They decided to have ships dock on the south side of the island where the water is deep enough to have them enter directly. And the marina
you can kind of
went to the
see
east, which is
that
protected
picture
from
there.
large waves by the Great Bahama Bank, an underwater limestone
I have too much stuff here, my older glasses and stuff. That picture, where is it, that picture? Here.
So
you can see how small that island actually is compared to the cruise ship. So that kind of makes sense, obviously, that it's private, because it's a small thing, so it can be run as a business. It's probably smaller than some of the parks. Like, I mean, I don't even mean national parks. I mean parks that like Disney parks. Obviously, that's gonna be much bigger than. I kind of wonder how big is actually Disney World Park. Let's see, just a second there. Disney World. I forgot how to spell world. Park area. 25,000 acres. So that's 100 square miles, 101 square kilometers. That's just for park. That's what the property covers. So when you kind of go into this, and this is only like what, hundreds and something, you said, acres? That's small, like. That's not very big. But perfect for a day trip.
Sunset. They decided to have ships dock on the south side of the island where the water is deep enough to have them enter directly. And the marina went to the east, which is protected from large waves by the Great Bahama Bank, an underwater limestone bed that makes the sea more shallow in that area. Then came the actual construction work. Removing 7,500 tons of scrap metal and moving almost 1 million cubic yards of sand. That's enough to build about 300 Olympic swimming pools and adding 100,000 tons of rocks. The company created a pier to support its largest ships, 2 miles of beaches, and 2 interior lagoons to create shallow swimming spaces for guests. And after that, it had to build the infrastructure.
The utilities, the reverse osmosis plant, sewage treatment plant, power generation plants, and we had to build housing.
Mm-hmm.
The company planted 5,000 palm trees and 75,000 smaller plants. And then it was time to prepare for guests.
Coming here, initial thought was, wow, I'm kind of stuck here.
Yeah, I guess.
We still had the last remnants of the dredging company that was here. They were just moving the last bit of equipment. We had to come in, do a bunch of training. Then we had to unpack the island.
About 200 people live full-time on Ocean Key, most of them from the Bahamas. They do everything from administrative and technical work to landscaping to making sure guests stay safe. The island needs to handle thousands of guests per day, with enough food, drinks, and other amenities to keep it feeling like a resort.
It's quite a vast
I wonder if you can stay overnight.
I often get guests arriving.
Or is it just for the day?
Where I am with my team, and they say, "Do you really live here?" And people are surprised that everything that you see here has been developed by us and needs to be maintained and nourished.
Running the island requires round-the-clock work, with staff doing 10-week shifts between breaks. They also have to deal with the weather, like in 2019, when Hurricane Dorian hit the Bahamas as a Category 5 storm. While the storm didn't cause any major damage to Ocean Key, it shut down work on the project and forced MSC to delay Ocean Key's opening.
We have strong winds, we're very remote.
That was 2019, so that was already delayed, and then you have COVID that's probably got delayed again.
As it evolves,
so that must be like really fresh new. Fresh
we
off
have
the
quite a bit of repair
boat.
work to do. Our team is sweeping all the beaches on the island, resetting the island.
I'm one of the longest standing team members on the island right now, and my hands actually assisted in every single part of this island. When it came to unpacking, when it came to development, when it came to the COVID shutdown, and we had to maintain the island. About 40 team members maintained the entire island for about 1.5 years.
After the height of the pandemic, cruise traffic to the Caribbean hit an all-time high in 2023. MSC operates Ocean Key as a restoration project, which also helps distinguish it from its competitors' private islands that are more like theme parks. So it's put significant resources into rehabilitating the island and its waters, and trying to bring wildlife to its shores. But there are plans to expand the project. MSC recently enlarged Ocean Key's navigation channel to prepare for its latest ship, the World America. And it's using material and sand from that process to extend an adjacent island. The company hasn't shared a timeline for the new island and said in a statement that it's still considering how to use it.
We're going to have premium experiences on that island for our guests. So we're busy with concept development at the moment, but nothing to share as yet. The cruise industry is also going through a huge growth period, and long may it last.
That's very interesting. Like, I mean, I've never been on a cruise. in the first place. We talking about going there one day. One day we definitely will. Right, there's so many choices as well to do, and for me it's gonna be definitely just even if I won't like it, I'm not sure I'm not, because I don't mind. I probably won't mind. I probably will like it. I don't know how my travel sickness will work on such a long cruise, because I'm not that great in the traveling situations, but definitely when I have an experience of actually being able to go and say like, oh yeah, I've been on a cruise, and like the way how it's organized and stuff, I kind of like the idea of it. I know a lot of people say that it's not very good for environment and all that, but then, isn't it? Like, you have one big ship with a lot of people that they're going from one place to another. This is kind of, I kind of see it as a public transport, instead of, like, there's thousands of people that go onto that ship. So, what's the biggest plane that can, what's the biggest amount of people a plane can take, like a schedule, like the Airbus or something like that? Let's just see now, because that's kind of like interesting, but depending obviously on how it's set. Biggest passenger plane. So Airbus, yeah, Airbus A380, the Dreamliner, isn't it? And can passenger, where that doesn't says passenger capacity. Passenger, there we go. So it can take 509 passengers. So basically, I don't think that, even if it's like one of the smaller ships that have like, well, the biggest one can take like 5,000 passengers, and then on top of that you have the crew as well. So 5,000, that would be, well, 10 Air 30, and not everyone will do it. Not every airport can take it as well, because you have to have a special and like a certain length of the runway as well. So obviously, you can't send that plane everywhere. So the smaller places like this one would need like a small airport and a smaller plane for that. So that's mean smaller capacity as well. So I think that in general the cruise lines are actually kind of good, especially for someone who is, let's say, it's not very good at organizing and it's kind of stressed when it's going to new places. You're gonna have everything organized, they're showing you the highlights and all that. I think it's a really good idea. So anyway, have you been on the cruise? I wonder. I haven't. I would love to go one day. Maybe. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Bye.